Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to be looking at life coaching. And specifically, we're going to be diving into some materials from the Life Coaching Academy,
Okay.
or LCA, as I'm probably going to call it.
LCA. Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got some interesting stuff to talk about with this.
Yeah. It's interesting. This is an organization that's been around for over 20 years, which is kind of wild when you think about it, because life coaching is sort of having a moment right now.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was just thinking, it seems like everybody's a life coach these days, right? Like
Yeah.
it's everywhere you turn. So for them to have been around for 20 years
Yeah.
really says something.
Yeah, it really does speak to something. And they
Yeah.
seem to be emphasizing this dual accreditation thing, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on that because I think that's super important, especially if you're thinking about making a career out of this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got this dual accreditation, both from the government and the International Coach Federation, or ICF.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's kind of like a safety inspection for your car, right? Like you
Yep.
want to make sure that when someone's coming to you, that they're reassured that you've met certain standards.
Oh, that's a great analogy. I like that.
You're the real deal, so to speak.
Okay, so you've definitely piqued my interest here,
Yeah.
but I think we need to take a step back for a second and just kind of like level set.
Yeah. Yeah.
For someone who maybe has never even heard of life coaching, what is that? Like, what does a life coach actually do?
Yeah, it's sort of like having a personal cheerleader and a strategic guide all rolled into one. Right?
okay.
So they help you identify what your goals are and how to overcome roadblocks and just generally create a life that feels more fulfilling to you.
Okay, so it's not just about like feeling good. It's about actually
It's about taking action.
taking action.
Okay, absolutely.
So, there are some people out there, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here a little bit, but like some people might say like, is this even a real job?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is this really a thing?
Well, I mean, the demand seems to be skyrocketing for one thing, right?
Yeah.
People are really craving guidance and support and accountability. And we also see that businesses are integrating coaching into their employee development programs. So yeah, I would say it's a very real and rapidly growing profession.
I mean, it's interesting you say that because I feel like I've seen that in my own, like, day-to-day life.
Yeah,
More and more people are talking about coaching,
absolutely.
and it seems like it's really everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
It's a real job.
Yeah.
But now let's go back to this whole dual accreditation thing.
Yeah.
Why should someone care about that?
Well, think of it this way, like in the coaching world, government accreditation is kind of like having a driver's license allowing you to operate locally.
Okay.
And ICF accreditation is like having a passport.
Okay.
So it opens doors for you to work with clients internationally.
Wow. So you're like,
Fully equipped.
so you've got all the tools
Yeah.
to navigate this world.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I think you mentioned this before, but their ICF accreditation is particularly interesting because they're accredited at level 2,
Level 2. Yeah.
which I guess means something.
It means a lot, actually. It's a direct pathway to the professional certified coach credential.
Okay, so help me understand, like, what does that mean, practically speaking? Like, if I'm looking for a coach,
Yeah.
why should I care that they have this level 2?
It's kind of like, how when you're climbing a mountain,
Right.
right, and you're looking for a guide,
Yeah,
you want someone who's already tackled some of the tougher trails, right?
makes sense.
You want someone who's proven they can get you through this.
Yeah, you want someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when clients see that ICF level 2 accreditation,
Mm-hmm.
they know that this coach has that experience and that higher level of training.
And they're gonna feel more confident, I guess.
Exactly. They're going to
Yeah.
feel much more confident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see like the value of all of this.
So, let's say I wanted to take the plunge and actually do this. What would that look like with LCA? Like what kind of learning journey am I in for?
Well, they've got 3 main paths that people can take.
Okay.
They've got the Certificate 4 in life coaching.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the Professional Coach ICF Level 2 program.
Okay.
And then they have the Master Coach Diploma.
Okay, so break those down for me.
So the Certificate 4, that's kind of like your foundation.
Okay.
And it's government accredited. So
Okay.
that's kind of like your driver's license, so to speak.
Gotcha.
The Professional Coach program combines that with the ICF Level 2 training.
Okay.
So it's giving you both.
So it's like the driver's license and the passport.
Exactly. It's giving you both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the Master Coach diploma?
That's kind of like reaching the summit of that mountain.
Okay.
You know, it's for people who are really serious about taking their skills to the next level, and it's often for those who want to coach in a business setting.
Gotcha. Okay. So you've definitely got my attention now. But I got to ask, like, before I get carried away with all of this,
Yeah.
how much does this stuff actually cost?
Right.
Because I'm imagining it's not cheap.
Yeah, of course, that's a big consideration for anyone.
Yeah.
The certificate for is $4,790 up front,
Okay.
but they do offer payment plans starting at $245 per month.
Okay.
For the professional coach program with the level 2 accreditation, that's $6,200 up front.
Okay.
Or payment plans starting at $325 a month.
Okay.
And then for the master coach diploma, it's $7,475 up front,
Okay.
with payment plans available from $399 a month.
Okay. So there's a pretty wide range there,
There is, yeah.
which is good to know. I guess they're trying to make it
They're trying to make it accessible.
accessible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even with payment plans, that's still, a big commitment.
Yeah.
So what kind of like time commitment are we talking about here?
Right. So on average, it takes people between 7 to 12 months to complete these programs.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
7 to 12 months. And what does the actual like learning process look like? Is it all online, in person? How does that?
So they've got a really flexible setup.
Okay.
So you can join live webinars that run at various times,
All right.
but you can also catch the recordings if you miss one.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And then there are practical coaching sessions, which are done in groups of 3 students called triads.
Wait, triads. So I'm actually like getting hands-on experience coaching other people?
Absolutely. It's a safe space to practice your skills and get feedback.
Oh, wow.
And you can do all of this online through Zoom,
Yeah.
which is super convenient. But they also have optional weekend workshops in major cities if you're looking for that face-to-face interaction.
Okay, so it really seems like they've thought about how to make this work for people who are busy.
They really have. And they also emphasize personalized coaching.
Okay.
So they try to tailor the courses to individual needs.
Now, something that really caught my eye when I was looking at their materials is this idea of specializing in a particular niche. And I thought that was so interesting. So why is that so important in the coaching world?
Well, it's kind of like finding your unique superpower and then using that to help a very specific group of people.
Okay.
So by niching down, you're essentially becoming the go-to expert for a particular issue or challenge.
So instead of being a jack of all trades, I can be a master of one.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
fair
It really helps you stand out in a crowded marketplace.
They have a whole bunch of different niches to choose from, right?
Oh, they do. There's NLP coach practitioner, ADHD coaching, business coaching, wellness coaching. I mean,
Okay, don't list them all.
I know. There's a lot.
We'll be here all day.
Yeah.
Pick a couple that like really stood out to you.
Or well, one that seems really relevant right now is ADHD coaching.
Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating how much more we're understanding about ADHD in adults.
Yeah.
And there's a real need for specialized coaching in that area.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. And then wellness coaching also really piqued my interest. It speaks to this desire for a more holistic approach to well-being.
Yeah.
Not just physical health, but mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so both of those really tap into, I think, some major trends that we're seeing.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, but before we get like too carried away with, the excitement of like ADHD coaching or wellness coaching,
Yeah.
let's talk about the practical side of things.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
how do you actually make this work in the real world? What are the things someone needs to think about before they take the plunge?
That's a great question, and we're going to dive into that right after the break.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were talking about all these different niches and all these programs, and it all sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some practical considerations to
Oh.
keep in mind before you kind of jump in head first.
Yeah, like what are some of the maybe less glamorous things about becoming a coach that someone might not think about?
Yeah, well, one of the big ones is the whole business side of things. Being a coach often means you're also an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you're handling things like marketing and accounting and client management.
It's not like you graduate and then people just show up in your door.
Right, exactly. You've got to be comfortable putting yourself out there and networking and really building a brand for yourself.
So it's not just about the coaching skills, it's also about having those entrepreneurial chops.
Absolutely. And, another thing to consider is the competition.
Okay.
As coaching becomes more popular, it's a more crowded marketplace.
Yeah, that's true.
You need to find ways to stand out and attract clients.
And I guess that's where niching down comes in handy.
Exactly. Niching down is huge.
Yeah.
But even within a niche, you need to figure out like what is it that makes you unique?
Okay.
What value do you bring to the table?
So it's not just what you coach, but how you coach.
Exactly. It's your unique style.
And what makes you special.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's the whole elephant in the room, which is regulation.
Oh, yeah, we touched on that a little bit before.
Yeah, and it's a big one because the coaching industry is on the verge of becoming more regulated.
Okay, that makes me a little nervous, to be honest.
I know it can be kind of intimidating, but let's break it down.
Okay.
So right now, anybody can call themselves a life coach.
Yeah. Anyone can hang up a shingle.
Right. There's no official licensing or oversight,
Okay.
but that's likely to change as the industry matures.
So you're saying in the future, there might be some kind of certification or licensing required.
Exactly.
Okay.
And while the details are still being worked out, it's probably a safe bet that some form of accreditation, like what LCA offers, is going to become increasingly important.
So for someone considering a career in coaching, this is like a big deal.
Huge deal.
Okay, so what are the potential like pros and cons of this whole like regulation shift?
Well, on the positive side, regulation can help weed out unqualified or unethical practitioners, which is good for clients and for the reputation of the industry as a whole.
Yeah, because right now it does feel a little bit like the Wild West.
It does. It's like anybody can just hang up their shingle and say they're a coach.
Right, exactly. So more client protection, and I guess it also gives the whole industry more credibility.
Absolutely. It enhances the credibility of coaching as a profession.
Because right now I think there's still some people out there who are a little bit skeptical.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some skepticism. You know, some people view it as a little bit woo-woo or lacking in substance.
But regulation would
Uh-oh.
kind of put it more on par with other professions, like therapy or counseling.
Exactly. It would give it more legitimacy.
Yeah.
And it would be taken more seriously by, the public and by businesses and even government institutions.
Okay, so I'm seeing the benefits here,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing there are also some potential downsides.
Oh, of course. One concern is that overregulation could stifle innovation and creativity.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
If the rules become too rigid, it could limit that flexibility and freedom that a lot of coaches value.
It could make it harder for people to like find their unique style and coach.
And there's also the question of who gets to decide what these regulations look like.
Right.
It's important to make sure that, diverse voices and perspectives are represented in that process.
It's not just about having regulations, it's about having the right regulations.
Exactly. The right regulations that strike a balance between accountability and, allowing for different approaches.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot happening behind the scenes
There's a lot going on.
in the coaching world.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
Like, why is there such a growing demand for coaching in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
What's driving this trend?
Well, I think there are a few key factors at play here. One is this increasing emphasis on personal growth and self-development.
Oh, yeah. It's like everyone's obsessed with mindfulness and self-care.
It's a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And coaching aligns perfectly with that because it's all about helping people identify their goals and overcome obstacles and just create a more fulfilling life.
It's about like tapping into that desire for personal transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Empowering people to take control of their lives.
And it's not just individuals who are seeking this out, right? Like businesses are also getting on board with this whole coaching thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Companies are recognizing the value of coaching as a tool for employee development and engagement.
So it's not just for personal goals, it's also for professional growth.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're realizing that investing in coaching can lead to better communication, increased productivity, and a more positive work environment.
And in today's job market, having those soft skills can really give you an edge.
Absolutely. And then there's also the impact of technology and digital transformation.
Wait, hold on. Digital transformation. What does that have to do with coaching?
Well, think about it. With technology constantly changing, the workplace is becoming more remote, more globalized. People are facing a whole new set of challenges.
It can be really overwhelming to keep up with all the changes.
It really can. And that's where coaching comes in.
Okay.
It provides that support and guidance that people need to adapt to these new technologies, develop new skills, and stay ahead of the curve.
So coaching is kind of helping people thrive, not just in their personal lives, but also in this like digital landscape that's constantly changing.
Exactly. And there's one more trend I think is worth mentioning, which is this growing focus on well-being and mental health.
Yeah, the mindfulness craze.
It's huge.
Yeah.
There's a definite shift towards prioritizing mental and emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
And coaching is perfectly positioned to meet that need.
It's like a safe space to explore those things,
Exactly.
develop coping mechanisms.
And a lot of coaches are integrating holistic approaches like mindfulness techniques into their practice.
So it's not just about achieving those external goals, but also about that inner peace and well-being.
Absolutely. And that's something that resonates with people from all walks of life.
It's interesting to see how all these trends are kind of converging to create this perfect storm for the coaching industry.
It really is. It speaks to this deeper societal shift, this recognition that we need new tools and new approaches to navigate this crazy modern life.
And coaching is emerging as one of those essential tools.
Exactly. And as we move towards a more regulated and professionalized coaching industry, it's likely that the demand for coaching services is only going to continue to grow.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the business side of coaching, the impact of regulation, and all these trends driving the demand.
A lot of information.
But at the end of the day, I think the question on everyone's mind is NW the time to jump into this career?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's something we're going to explore in more depth in the final part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. So we've talked about all the exciting things happening in the coaching world right now, but also some of the potential challenges. And honestly, I'm feeling a little bit like I'm standing at a crossroads here.
I get it. It's a lot to take in, and there's no easy answer. You know, the decision of whether or not to pursue a career in coaching really comes down to your individual circumstances, your goals, and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Exactly. But what we can do is help you weigh those pros and cons so you can make an informed decision.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say I'm someone who's naturally a little bit cautious. What are the arguments against jumping into coaching right now?
Well, I think the biggest one might be the uncertainty surrounding regulation.
Yeah, that's a big one.
We know it's coming, but we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. So some people might prefer to kind of wait and see how things shake out before they invest their time and money in training.
It's like, why jump into a pool when you don't know how deep the water is?
Right,
Sure.
exactly. And then there's the competition.
Oh, yeah.
As coaching becomes more popular, the market is getting more and more crowded. It takes work to stand out and attract clients, especially when you're first starting out.
It's like trying to get noticed in a sea of life vests.
Right. You got to find a way to make yours shine brighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess building a successful practice is about more than just being a good coach.
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole business side to it.
Yeah.
You need marketing skills. You need to be tech savvy.
Okay, so even with great training like what LCA offers, there's still a lot of hustle involved.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable with the entrepreneurial side of things.
Okay, so I'm hearing you. There are definitely some valid reasons why someone might hesitate to dive in right now, but let's flip the script. What are the arguments for our taking the leap?
Well, as we've discussed, the demand for coaching is exploding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like it's everywhere.
It really is. And all those trends we talked about, the focus on self-development, the rise of digital everything, the emphasis on well-being, those aren't going away.
So it sounds like a career with some serious long-term potential.
I think so. And you know that looming regulation we talked about?
Yeah.
That could actually be a huge EDE advantage for those who are already qualified and accredited.
Oh, interesting. Because it's like getting your scuba certification before everyone else realizes they need one.
Like that.
Yeah. When those regulations kick in, you'll be ahead of the game.
And LCA's dual accreditation puts you in a really strong position.
Absolutely. It's like having a life vest and a compass.
Oh, okay. I'm liking these analogies.
And of course, let's not forget the flexibility and the earning potential.
Right. We talked about setting your own hours working from anywhere, potentially building a practice that not only fulfills you, but also provides a great income.
It's the ultimate freedom and autonomy.
Okay, so big potential for both personal and professional fulfillment.
Exactly.
All right, so final verdict. Is now W the time to become a coach?
You know, at the end of the day, only you can answer that question. It's about looking inward and being honest with yourself about your skills, your passions, and your vision for the future.
It's about asking yourself, do I really enjoy helping others? Am I excited by the idea of running my own business? Does the flexibility and the potential impact of coaching light me up inside? Those are the questions that really matter.
And what if I'm leaning towards yes, but I'm still feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information and all the choices?
That's totally normal. It's a big decision. My advice would be to start small. Dip your toes in the water before you dive in head first.
Okay, so like what would that look like, practically speaking?
Well, a great first step is to download LCA's free information pack. It's full of resources, program details, inspiring stories from graduates.
Okay, that sounds like a good starting point.
It is. And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning of your exploration. The coaching world is vast, and it's always changing. There's so much to discover.
So stay curious, keep learning, and trust your gut.
I love that.
And maybe the next time we do a deep dive into coaching, we'll be featuring your inspiring story.
Maybe you'll be the one guiding us on that journey.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of life coaching. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this fascinating field with us. Until next time, keep diving deep.